Once upon a time, there lived in Verona two great families, named Montague and Capulet. There was an old quarrel between the two families. A Montague wouldn't speak to a Capulet if he met one in the street, nor a Capulet to a Montague. Once, Lord Capulet gave a party. He was so hospitable that he said anyone might come to it, except the Montagues. But a young Montague, named Romeo, wanted very much to be there, because Rosaline, the lady he loved, had been asked. So he went to the Capulet's grand party with his friends Mercutio and Benvolio. Presently, amid the dancers, Romeo saw Juliet. She was very beautiful. From that moment, Romeo never again gave one thought to Rosaline. All the world seemed vain and worthless to him compared with her. Tybalt, Lady Capulet's nephew, heard him. He knew him to be Romeo. Tybalt went at once to his uncle. He told him how a Montague had come uninvited to the feast. But old Capulet bade Tybalt be quiet. In the meantime, Romeo told Juliet in sweet words that he loved her. Just then, her mother sent for her. Romeo found out that she was the daughter of Lord Capulet. So he went away sorrowing indeed, but loving her. Juliet said to her nurse, "Who is that gentleman that would not dance?" "His name is Romeo and a Montague. He is the only son of your great enemy," answered the nurse. Juliet went to her room. She looked out of her window. Romeo was hidden in the garden among the trees. So she, not knowing him to be there, spoke her secret thought aloud. Juliet told the quiet garden how she loved Romeo. Romeo heard and was glad beyond measure. "Ah, why are you called Romeo?" said Juliet. "Since I love you, what does it matter what you are called? Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth I never will be Romeo," he cried, stepping into the full white moonlight. And they spoke long together with the sweetest words. When the time came to part, it seemed as though they had met but that moment. "I will send for you tomorrow," said Juliet. The next morning, very early, Romeo went to Friar Lawrence, a priest. He told him all the story. He begged him to marry him to Juliet without delay. After some talk, the priest consented to do. Juliet sent her old nurse to Romeo that day. She wanted to know what he purposed to do. The old woman took back a message that all was well, and all things were ready for the marriage of Juliet and Romeo on the next morning. The young lovers were afraid to ask their parents' consent to their marriage. Friar Lawrence was willing to help the young lovers secretly. He thought that the match might put a happy end to the old quarrel. So the next morning, Romeo and Juliet were married at Friar Lawrence's cell. Romeo promised to come into the garden that evening. The nurse got ready a rope ladder to let down from the window, so that Romeo could climb up and talk to his dear wife quietly and alone. But that very day a dreadful thing happened. Tybalt met Romeo and his two friends, Mercutio and Benvolio, in the street. He called Romeo a villain and asked him to fight. Romeo had no wish to fight with Juliet's cousin, but Mercutio drew his sword.